Greetings from Tokyo, my dear friends. This is Daisuke, and I hope this video finds you in very good spirits wherever you are in the world. So I'd like to continue with my presentation of the viewer poll results regarding your favorite Criterion Collection cover art designs. Last time I presented a top 20 list all the way up to the titles that received 7 votes each. Today I'd like to present to you the titles that received 6 votes each and thus are tied for 27th place. So once again, these are the titles that each received 6 votes in this past viewer poll where I asked you for your favorite Criterion Collection cover art designs. And because they were all receiving of 6 votes each, they are all tied for 27th place in the poll. So, without further ado, let me show you the first of these. This is Spine 842. This is Dreams, or Akira Kurosawa's Dreams. Now, let me start by saying that according to the booklet, the art is credited as being art director Sarah Habibi. And I look at this, and the cover art looks very remarkably like it took a painting that was drawn or painted by Akira Kurosawa himself. That's my understanding. And if my understanding is correct, then it would appear that the cover art, the artists or the art director or the art crew or team for the Criterion release of this relied on or used an image that was a Kurosawa painting and used that as the basis for this cover art. Now that's my sort of general guess or assumption, but unless I'm mistaken, that's probably what's going on here. So if you have any information about that, please let me know. But in any event, the art is credited as being art director Sarah Habibi, and so this is most likely the use of a Kurosawa drawing or painting for purposes of this artwork. And in any event, it is a very appropriate artwork, because this is depicting one of the so-called dreams in this sequence of films, or it's one of the dream sequences in a film that is composed of many such dream sequences. And this is one of the most famous or iconic shots of the film where it's depicting that, and it's meant to convey a sense of the splendor and wonder of nature, the sort of beauty of the image, and the idea of something captured in nature perfectly in time, and the way that humanity or this little boy is interacting through the landscape. And it's a wonderful moment in the film, and it also has this really tangible handmade, hand-painted quality to it. As you can see the brush strokes, and you can see the natural feeling and texture, which I think is also quite evocative and very telling, and a nice link to this film. And so, my friends, this is the cover art for Akira Kurosawa's Dreams. Next, this also received 6 votes, thus making it tied for 27th place. This is Spy number 51. This is the film Brazil, and the cover art here is credited as being art director Sarah Habibi, designers Basia Grocholski and Gordon Reynolds. And so what we have here is, in essence, what I understand to be a sort of iconic image from materials that were used to market the film, as well as an image that captures a kind of essence of the film in terms of a sort of a stylized, fantastic fantasy element to the film on the one hand, and then a gritty black and white that is on display on the other hand. And thus we have these two poles that are almost clashing with each other, but yet in a very beautiful, symbiotic way, in an interesting way. And that, I think, is one way to look at this, and it feels very right when thinking about Brazil and the film and what the film is and what it stands for, and the way in which these two clashing poles of tone and content seem to collide against each other, or oftentimes, or not oftentimes, but occasionally otherwise enmesh themselves in one another to create this very unique, bizarre, fascinating, and unforgettable film viewing experience. So this is Brazil, and this is the very great cover art that accompanies this release from the Criterion Collection. Next, this is also a title that received 6 votes, thus making it tied for 27th place. This is spy number 966. The film is Detour, and art is credited as art director Sarah Habibi, Eric Skillman, illustration Jennifer Dionisio. And my goodness, just look at this. It's a very striking use of yellow, which is interesting in and of itself, because on the one hand, the color is not necessarily employed in the film, given that it's a black and white film. But the use of yellow combined with the black and white and the stripes and the way that the font Detour is elongated diagonally seems to suggest this idea of roads and street signs, and thus making it linked very nicely to the film and to its visual motif of the road, and heading towards one direction but getting sidetracked along the way, or the idea of the visual of the Detour and how that is linked to the title itself. And so this all is encapsulated in this very highly stylized cover design, which also is very much linked to the sort of highly stylized nature of the film and the narrative structure and the way that it's arranged in terms of a kind of suspenseful and quite heavily arranged film noir. And so I think this is all captured in this artwork very vividly and quite memorably. So this is the artwork for the film Detour. Next, this received 6 votes as well, thus making it tied for 27th place. This is spy number 97. This is Do the Right Thing. Now, I received votes that didn't necessarily indicate one version or the other, because this has been released by Criterion a number of times, and so I, based on my editorial discretion, assumed that this meant the most recent release of Do the Right Thing, which is right here, which is having its art credited to art director Sarah Habibi, Eric Skillman, cover mural and interior illustrations Daniel Mastrian. And let me just show you very quickly what the inside portion of this digibook looks like. It's absolutely stunning. Look at this right here. Look at that. And so we have a wonderful sense of the street mural art, but also the sense of a community that is being depicted, with each of the characters that are part of this community somehow or another arranged in the environment, which is also a key component of this film, Do the Right Thing. So the environment, the characters that inhabit that environment, all of them, because it's a wide array of characters, and also this idea of well, linked to the environment and the street background and the use of color and the way in which one's imprint is made onto the actual ground and the walls and things, and how that is very important in terms of one's identity, both as an individual and also as a member of a particular group here or there. And so this is all here in this package, which I think is very vivid, very colorful, and also so linked stylistically and thematically to this film, which has so many underlying currents, and it's still quite potent and very relevant and very powerful even today. So this is Do the Right Thing. Oh, and I should also mention just very quickly here the booklet as well. So here it is. So this is Do the Right Thing. Next, this received 6 votes, thus making it tied for 27th place. This is by number 838. This is the film Pan's Labyrinth, and this is art directors Sarah Habibi, Eric Skillman, and illustrator Becky Clunan. And if you look at this, this is really stunning and evocative and very detailed when it comes to this film, which is all about, well, it's not all about, but it's about many things. But one of its main components is this idea of otherworldliness and the detail and the design and the eeriness and the atmosphere that's captured in that world, and the tapestry that's being painted. And it's all captured in here. The use of color, the use of the feeling of menace and the unknown, and also a kind of mystery and a sort of an almost eerie beauty quality to this. And so I think this is a very evocative, highly stylized, and very fitting piece of cover art, combined with the way in which the lettering also shines off very nicely and contrasts with the underlying intricate design work that is painted underneath. And so this is Pan's Labyrinth. Next, this is a title that received 6 votes, thus making it tied for 27th place. Spy number 995. This is Polyester, and let me just point out also that the fold-out cover is, or the cover is also presented on the fold-out inner insert. This is art with art credited as art directors Eric Skillman, Sarah Habibi, illustration Sam Hadley. And let's talk about this illustration, shall we? This is this artwork. It's really so apropos and fitting for this film. This film is about the sort of kind of paperback romance fantasy story that is also a parody or pastiche of this kind of drama, a sort of a soap opera type of feel to it, which is also a comedy. And of course it's done in that impeccable, undeniable, and absolutely one of a kind John Waters style. And we have the glory of this film presented in full for all to see. And so this is a wonderful rendition of this film and the idea that it has here. And I think it's also, I have to point out the look that's given on the face of the one and the only divine. Just look at that and just tell instantly that John Waters' essence, if you will. It's absolutely stunning, so perfect, really beautiful in design, and I'm very happy to see it here. So this is Polyester. Next, this is also a title that received 6 votes, thus making it tied for 27th place. Let me say that the art is credited as art director Sarah Habibi, Eric Skillman, and illustrator Angela Rizza, designer Eric Skillman. And the reason why I read it first is because the way that the package is designed, the booklet is actually part of the package itself. And what am I talking about? I'm talking about, of course, this film, The Princess Bride. Now, we look at this and the way that the art and the illustration, which is, of course, linked to the film itself and the characters, and this idea of a fable or fairy tale type of quality. It's in the illustration itself, and also it's in the way that the whole package is designed as a kind of fairy tale book, if you will. So this is, I think, a stunning presentation in terms of the look and the aesthetic presentation of it. It's certainly one of a kind in terms of the way in which this art is being presented in any modern Criterion release, and so it's really great to see it here. So this is The Princess Bride. Next, this is also a title that received 6 votes, thus making it tied for 27th place. This is spy number 386, Sansho the Bailiff. And this is stunning in terms of its simplicity and just kind of immediate appreciability, let me put it that way, in the sense that you see this and it already sets up a kind of visual motif which is linked so directly and carefully to the film itself. And you can see also in the background, you can see not only the silhouette of a very important, significant figure that's relevant to the film, of course, but also you can see a sort of faded image in the background of another character that's also very significant. And so there is a sense of a kind of ethereal, tragic quality that's being confronted, if you will, with a stark black silhouette here that is, I think, meant to represent something along similar lines. And so I think its simplicity and minimalism work so well to the advantage of this film. And I should point out also that this is a digibook, or digipack, excuse me, and so we have this kind of motif continued on with the inner portion of this, and so there is that, and then it's also continued on with the booklet. And so this is a great minimalist yet effective artwork for Sansho the Bailiff. Next, this also received 6 votes, thus making it tied for 27th place. This is spy number 712. Scanners. And if you know the film, you'll know that this is very evocative or very suggestive of a certain visual motif or scene in the film that's considered to be very, very iconic. One of the most iconic images, or certainly the most iconic image of the film, and arguably one of the most iconic images in all of David Cronenberg's filmography. And also this is suggestive of the plot itself in a general sense, in terms of its telepathic powers and the kinds of physical violence that can result from this. The art is credited as being art directors Sarah Habibi, Eric Skillman, illustrations by Connor Williamson, designer Eric Skillman. And so let me just say also that this motif is continued in the inner part of this digipack booklet, and so you can see right there, here, and of course here. And the illustrations are also continued on in the booklet, which I've pulled out here, which is set forth here and here. Again, very interesting. There's almost a layering of the sort of physiology of these characters, and so this is quite nice, and the illustrations continue on through the booklet itself, and so this theme is quite nice. I also like, incidentally, the way in which the front of the inner booklet has the title like this, but the back of the booklet has it like this, and so I think that's a very interesting way of sort of showing the front and the back cover of the inner booklet. Very nice detail. But once again, this is the cover art for the film Scanners. Next, this received 6 votes, thus making it tied for 27th place. This is spine number 868. The film is Tampopo. And this has art credited as art director Sarah Habibi, Eric Skillman, illustrations Ping Zhu, and designer Eric Skillman. And I must say that this artwork is really fantastic. It has, of course, the theme of food and eating, and in particular ramen. And there is, of course, some characterizations that are depicted on what appears to be the inner part of the ramen bowl itself. We have the flow of the noodles here, and the chopsticks, and some person eating, and also there is a nice playfulness in terms of the use of color and the font. There's also a kind of a sort of a comic feel to it as well. There is a zaniness that I think is inherent. There's also the sense of the way in which this might be also suggestive of certain sexual imagery as well, so food and sex, and this is also a very part and parcel and very linked to the film itself, as you may know. So this is all quite wonderful and bright and vivid and effervescent, and this is a very nice artwork indeed. So this is the artwork for the release of Tampopo. And last, but certainly not least, this also received 6 votes, thus making it tied for 27th place. This is the film that is at spine number 190. Throne of Blood, the Japanese title being Kumo no Sujo. And this is art credited to art director Sarah Habibi, designer and illustrator Bill McMullen. And this is a very nice, sort of modern, almost comic book-like way, a graphic novel-like way of depicting this character, the main character here, played by Toshiro Mifune, and also the intensity that's captured in the face, which is also matching the intensity of the character that we see in the film. We see also the way in which color is used in terms of the black and white and red, and also the red has a clean, sharp, angular look to it on one aspect of the design, but then in other aspects it has a very violent, almost suggestive of splatter of blood, which is also very fitting given the level of violence and intensity that is covered by this film, and that is carried over through the back. And there is a sense of order on the one hand, and yet on the other hand there is a sense of chaos. And in the middle we have this depiction of the face of the main character. And it's interesting also that if we have the blood splatter portion being chaos and the angular lines being a sense of order, it's interesting to see where his face falls. It's not quite in the middle, it's not towards this side, it's more towards the other side. And I like that sense of imbalance. It's quite fitting when one considers the film and how it plays out. It's really quite an ingenious design aspect, I think. So this is the great design for this film, which is Throne of Blood. Okay, my friends, so that's it for those titles that received 6 votes each, thus being tied for 27th place on the viewer poll for your favorite Criterion Collection cover art design. So well done again, my friends. You chose very well as always, so I'm very impressed. And so with that, please feel free to let me know what your thoughts are in the comments section below. I'd very much love to hear what it is you have to say. And I will end this video now, and so I will continue with this video presentation of the poll results, and I will the next video I will have in this will be those titles that received 5 votes each. So, and then I'll go steadily down the list until we get to the portion of the list where we have the titles that received 1 vote, and then that will be the final video. So the next item on the agenda, as it were, will be those that received 5 votes. So please, won't you join me in that next video? I would love to see you there. So thank you very much for your time, and please be happy and healthy and well, and please keep on watching a lot of great movies. So until we meet again, my warmest regards to you, and cheers.